Okay, I'm going to try and cover two things at once. We're going to look at a new synergy with the Proboscis Cernos and something special, as well as a new build for XAKU, based on that particular synergy as well. So, here we are in the simulacrum with XAKU. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill these level 155 corrupted heavy gunners. Awesome. Going to use Grass to Lurk, Fast on Time, and I'm even going to use Zarta's Whisper for a change. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to grab them in. So this particular quote-unquote synergy is really maximized in power by the use of the Proboscis Cernos. And I'll explain that in a second, but basically you can see that it's doing quite a lot of damage. Grasp of Loke anyway. And once I get even just one pop off, we can really just kill them really bloody easily. Like so. Cool. Now, what is the synergy that I am referring to when it comes to the Proboscis Cernos? Let's have a quick look as well. Essentially the idea is, if I am able to grab all of these enemies together, I can then use something like Spectrosiphon. And in doing so, a lot of enemies are now grouped together, and thus, we have a lot of energy orbs. So that is, of course, something you can think about doing if you want to use the Proboscis Cernos. Now, let's have a look at the build that I'm using for XAKU. Here is the build I'm using for XAKU. So essentially, it's a Spectrosiphon build. Now, for this particular build, because I am using the Proboscis Cernos, I'm not really going to put too much attention into that power strength. That's because I've actually decided to use Spectrosiphon and Spectra Rage instead of the Lost. I personally am not that big a fan of the Lost. I actually find it to be really annoying and really difficult to navigate in particular. But if you have no problem navigating and figuring out that ability, then obviously the answer is to basically replace Zarta's Whisper with Spectra Rage instead. Otherwise, it's an easy ability to use, I guess, if I just don't feel like thinking when I want to use XAKU, so for whatever reason I'm just going to go for Zarta's Whisper instead of the Lost. That's just my personal choice, but you know, it is what it is, and you can choose which one you want to go for instead. Essentially, the rest of the build should be pretty straightforward, although I am using a regular continuity instead of a prime continuity because I can't fit it. This is of course a zero FORMA build, and I have no real intention of putting another FORMA on them just as of yet, so we'll just see how we go from there. But otherwise, should be a really straightforward build, and all these mods pretty much give you the stats that you are looking at. So that's pretty much it, really straightforward build for a pretty powerful Warframe. Now, the changes that came as part of round 2, they do make XAKU quite a lot stronger, especially the ability to basically recast Grasp of Loke in order to get even more guns if you happen to only get a few guns at the start. So that does mean you don't necessarily have to pigeonhole yourself into waiting until you actually have that ability just deplete before you can go and find some more enemies. So if you happen to only come across like 3 enemies, then that does make it a lot better that you can actually recast Grasp of Loke if there's another group of enemies and get even more guns, quote unquote, off them. So that is pretty damn strong. I do find it absolutely hilarious sometimes when I'm doing certain missions that it just turns into a gigantic turkey shoot with Grasp of Loke, and especially if you're using something like the Proboscis Cernos and something like Spectrosiphon, it just becomes hilarious. It really does. You just see so many blue orbs showing up, especially in the steel path, because there's a lot more enemies as well. So just definitely something worth checking out if you ask me. I reckon this is a really fun way to play. Now, a lot of people do prefer the rage mode XAKU that I had earlier. I feel like XAKU's survivability might still be a bit of a struggle street when it comes to trying to use a rage mode XAKU, so just something to keep an eye on, whereas a Spectrosiphon plus something like the Cernos would be a better option, I guess. I actually think it might be an easier way to produce energy at the very moment, but you do lose out on healing, so that's kind of why I've chosen to go for Arcane Aegis and Redirection instead. That is that particular reason. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Is this a form of XAKU that you reckon you might use? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.